And then it's Prime Day, and I bought 2 vacuums today. So
you bought 2 vacuums?
Yes.
You bought the robotic one, and then the one.
Worse.
Yeah.
Okay. And welcome back to the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Hi, I can't hear anymore.
You can't hear anymore?
No, that was really loud.
It wasn't loud to me.
One.
I don't know why it's loud to you.
I don't know. Maybe
Well, we are
broken.
in what is our studio.
Yes.
This
it's
is the
finished,
space. No, obviously.
But it's the section.
Who wants a white wall? We're not done. No, but
we've been working on a new background. We were doing that last night,
Yes,
which was pretty fun. We've been
yeah.
racking our brains on how. So we loved our old background.
Yes.
And I still do.
Yeah.
It'll still be the fallback if all of these don't work.
But it's super popular,
But
and a lot of people have it. Therefore, it's
and I
time
don't
for a
want
change.
something that a lot of people have usually anymore. I So so we have a new idea. So hopefully it'll actually happen it was in my head.
Right.
And then if it does, it'll be
a
nice change.
And we're testing out that
the
shelving,
bookshelf
bookshelf behind her.
Yeah.
That might be where we put all of our
decor and
things
stuff
instead of shelves.
And the extra mics on the bottom and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So, and then the wall obviously will be black. Maybe some other colors. Who knows?
We'll see.
You'll just have to stay tuned and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
And then there will also be a sign.
There will?
For one of my
Are you sure
favorite.
There's going to be a sign? Because there should have been a sign.
There has to be.
I mean, we've been in the studio, what, now a year?
Not quite.
Almost.
Not yet.
And then the big plans were to have the sign ready today for this show.
Yeah, and then
because the recipient of the sign is our guest. And if you've been listening, you know who our guest is.
So I was also going to at least print it out and have it, and guess whose printer's broken?
Nope. No. Oh, the printer's broken.
Which I said that to you as a subtle hint to go fix it, but you didn't pick that one up.
I thought you were getting a new printer. I thought you were done with that one.
Well, yeah, but I just need it to work now. Wait, did it print stuff?
What? Yep. There's something on the bottom there.
Maybe it's fixed.
But the picture of your sign isn't. Well, in case you haven't
figured out
who our guest is, our guest today is Ryan.
# make Ryan sign.
Yes, and supportive # free John's hats. Hey Ryan, how's it going?
Absolutely.
Hi, friend.
Doing well, guys. # free John's hats. We went through. We'll get a # make Ryan sign.
And
someday.
if I do make it soon, maybe a year timeline just is kind of my thing, because it took me about that long for your hat rack that we never set up.
No, and that you didn't make, you just bought it.
Because ask Ryan. Ryan and I talked about it a lot, and we determined that it would probably be better
Ryan, if your sign looks like it has attributes to another maker.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
See, if it's gypsy finish, or if it's
shit, that's a really good idea.
See, she's gonna outsource the sign that she was gonna make.
Okay, so I have reasons.
I mean, reasons.
We don't
excuses.
have proper venting of my laser yet. Just saying. I don't. What?
It's not like you haven't used your laser.
And I did. First of all, so I used it before we got the AC.
Okay.
And I sweat my balls off.
Okay.
It was brutal. Okay. And then when I was going to make it when my laser was actually working before we got the AC, I couldn't find the box with the 3M, and I needed a 3M to make his sign. I also couldn't find the acrylic I was going to use. Okay. So now I found all that stuff, but now we have AC. So anytime I open that, then the AC is gone, and we're, cooling the outside.
I'm playing. You don't see it because of the cup, but I'm playing the world's smallest violin for you.
Or at night, then I get attacked by all the skeeters.
Yeah. So see, Ryan, it's not that you know, it's just all these things.
I've thought about it. Okay, leave me alone. We'll get it. I promise. How you been?
Good. Hey, I'm not going anywhere, so we're good.
Well, thank you first of all for being very flexible, just in general, with your sign and with scheduling, because we were supposed to have you on a couple weeks ago, and then as we talked about on the last podcast, and then tonight, let's talk about really quick. We have a 2-year-old now.
Yeah, he turned 2.
He turned 2 a few days ago, and literally the day after he turned 2, he decided
no sleep.
Sleep isn't fun anymore. So we're fighting it, and then we're also climbing out of our crib. So
that's already on its lowest.
Ready.
That's already on its lowest setting.
Yeah, we need to try. We got to try a lot of things, but anyway, we'll get all to that stuff on the life update.
We'll put a lid on it.
My son, whenever he turned around 2 and was same thing, I caught him on the baby monitor, basically planking on the edge of the crib to just go over, and
that's what happened tonight. And he jumped up and ran in there. By the time he got in there, he was already out. He was on the ground,
he's like, hey, Dad.
Standing next to his crib. Yeah.
Right? What are you doing here? Huh?
So what did you do? Did you switch to like a toddler bed, or how did you keep him in there?
Yeah. So the crib we have can be converted. You take one side off, it comes with a smaller section you can put. Yeah, we had to. It was one of those, I would rather deal with those issues than him falling out of the crib. So
he did fall gracefully though.
and extra points because he was in a sleep sack.
Yes, and he landed on his feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he started crawling out, we'd stopped using the sleep sack for like a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was just in his pajamas. And then we're like, he started trying, and we're like, no, put him in the sleep sack. Yeah. Well, this one has too much room, so he can still get his leg up.
No, but also too, when we put him in there, it was because he was getting his actual foot.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't need his foot. He just gets his knee up there.
Mm-hmm. Well, then he figured out how to get his sleep sack off. So then the next level was putting it on backwards with the zipper towards the back.
Yeah. Houdini over here.
Fuck, man.
He said challenge.
He is, which is great, but not for us. It's maybe in life, but not for parents right now.
Welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a Chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's Chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that, paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code RileyBlack will take $50 off any order of $600 or more.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So, what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
So, tell us about all your tools.
So I think we talked a little bit the last time I was on the podcast. So I do have a laser. Actually, since the last time we talked, I've actually gotten a new laser. I've upgraded from the Glowforge.
What you got?
So I now have an ohm I have an Omtech 60 watt. So
did you get rid of the Glowforge?
And it's
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Just short of chunking it out on the street.
I know. What is it? Office space. Just like take it out in the back and beat it
with the baseball bats. Pretty much. So no, I thoroughly enjoy the Omtech. It definitely is faster, more capable, bigger. So gotten to do a lot with it. And I talked a little bit about, I have a CNC machine, CNC router out in the garage. So for wood, aluminum, plastic, things like that. And I also dabble in some 3D printing. So I actually have 4 3D printers in the house. So yeah, we talked about earlier, some of them don't take up a lot of space, but when you have 4 or more of them, they take up a lot of space. So it's been interesting, listening to this podcast and watching the groups and everything that we're in, of course, because like you said, we're all, did I lose you? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Computer.
It's like delayed a little bit, or like it freezes a little bit. We can hear you fine though. Yeah.
Perfect. So all the different groups, of course, as we talked about, we're all in like 30, 40, 50 groups. When it comes to lasers, people talk about some of the other things that go along with lasers, like fiber lasers, sublimation, things like that. But, what I found is that there's even more. I'm trying to find ways I can use the laser with the 3D printers. I can use the laser with the CNC with the 3D printers, you name it. So the idea of this kind of, putting these things together, and making even better things has been kind of my goal with what I do, is like, how can I use them together versus one tool at a time?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in how you pair them all. Hey guys, thanks for watching and listening. If you'd like to support us monetarily now or in the future, here are a few ways.
You can join us on Patreon and reach out to us to run ads on the podcast.
For only $20, by the way.
Only $20.
You could also buy a file from my Etsy shop, some keychain accessories from my website, the course to learn some file designs, or explore one of my partnerships with either Eon or Pyburn.
Yeah, and you can find all those links on our Facebook group. That's the Riley Black Project.
Yep. To support us for $0 a month, you can share the podcast with your laser friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel, interact with our content, share, like, comments. What else?
And subscribe and leave a review on our Apple podcast. And then follow us on social media. That's Facebook and Instagram, the Riley Black Project.
Yes, we appreciate your support so much. We have big dreams of John joining us full time, and anything that you can do monetarily or for free to help us get there, we appreciate it so much.
Speaking of all things laser, check out Houston Acrylic at houstonacrylic.com for reliable laser tested and laser approved materials.
Made for makers by makers, Houston Acrylic features over 450 styles of acrylic sheets. With over 50 new arrivals being released this month, Houston Acrylic is committed to bringing new and innovative styles to the laser community. My personal favorite is the matte. Anything matte. And I feel it's perfect for everything.
Don't forget to save 10% by using our exclusive coupon code TRBP10 at checkout. Get inspired today and visit houstonacrylic.com.
Do it.
What purposes does each one serve for you and your business currently?
So right now, my business kind of has two sides. My Etsy side does just basic stuff kind of to pay the bills. I do a lot of blank shapes, rounds. You see all the nursery signs, the rounds, I do those. That's what I sell the most. And the cool part is I do those on my CNC. I basically automate it. I have all the files set up. Somebody says, hey, I want a 22-inch round. Cool. Hit the button. 5 minutes later, I've got a round. Ship it. So it's not as glamorous as some of the other stuff, but that at least, like I said, pays the bills. Those orders kind of keep things rolling where I can do the other things. Exactly. And so the other side is I've actually started doing a lot of awards for local groups that I deal with on a daily basis.
Bank. I mean, if you go on like any awards website and just like price them out, and for the cheapest quality like award. I mean, it's like $15-20 and that's cheap plastic. Nothing fancy, nothing really personalized or personalized well. Yeah, awards is a good moneymaker.
Agreed. And what I found is, these people, they want something that's not just the $20 plastic. They want it to be them, and that's what I like. I want to make something that's more them. And so I do that by being able to use these multiple tools together. So for instance, a lot of what I do, I will take and cut a backer, say a wood shape on the CNC. And then I can take and use a laser cut acrylic or even just laser engrave the shape once it's done on the CNC to add the detail. I made some for it was a clay shoot tournament. So I actually I CNC like actual size wood clay pigeons, and then I stuck them on the laser and engraved all the details on them. And so that's where I try to okay, how can I use, because the thing is each of these different tools has a purpose and has
pros and
things
cons,
it can do and it can't do. The cool part, the cool part is all of them kind of overlap in some form or fashion. That's why I'm able to do all of them. For instance, the laser and the CNC both use SVG files. So the same files that I'm using for my laser, I can use on my CNC.
Within reason, right?
At least for the 2D stuff. Now you're doing 3D. The same files I use on the CNC for 3D stuff is the same files I use on the 3D printers. So there's overlap, and that's where it's kind of nice. Is I don't have to relearn everything about one of these tools, and it makes it to where I can use them in tandem a lot more, easily and more efficiently.
So how do you use the 3D printer and the laser together?
So what I've done recently, my day job is for general contracting. So we build big buildings, skyscrapers, big high schools, you name it. What I've found recently is I will 3D print the actual building, the 3-dimensional portion, and then I will laser cut, I'll say the site, the base it sits on. It's got roads, it's got landscaping etched on it. I can put a logo on it if it's for a specific company or school relatively easily. And it's a nice contrast because I usually use a wood for that, or even a single ton acrylic. Then I use a colored 3D printed plastic. So maybe it's blue for a school district whose colors are blue. And so the people love it because they get to see their stuff 3-dimensionally and not just layered 2 dimensions.
Well, and anything is
and
all the rage.
It is, especially for these people who are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a building, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is what's going to look like. Yes, this is what's going to look like. So that's what I've been doing mostly when it's 3D printing versus laser cutting. Again, laser cutting being more for the 2D, or what we'd call 2.5D, where you're just cutting a shape with a specific thickness. And of course,
I want a 3D printed. But yes, but 3D printed of each house we've lived in.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And that's what you can do, and that's the cool part about the 3D printing is it allows you to do those. Doing something like that on a laser cutter would require a lot of thought process of flat pieces that you're gluing together, versus a 3D printer making it as a solid from a single mass. So again, similar ideas in the sense of how you go about doing them, but can provide you with this extra dimension of things to use whenever I'm creating.
And then what was the other thing? So you have the CNC, the 3D printer. Wasn't there something else? What else do you have? Or was it just just the
laser? I just have my laser.
So it's the 3 tools total that you kind of use interchangeably. And then I assume the 3D printer, it uses plastics. You can't do any kind of actual engraving onto it, right? Because none of that is laser safe.
Actually, there are some that you can. They are. I mean, if you can imagine, 3D printers take a solid plastic, melt it, to create this new mass, and they're in excess of 212 degrees Celsius, so pretty hot. So heat for it is not as big of an issue as you're thinking, like a PVC or something. This stuff is intended to be hot. So the issue is lasers, of course, being as fine of a heat source as you can get, is finding the settings for it. I have dabbled a little bit in trying to say 3D print something and laser engrave it, and it does work if you can get the settings right. Haven't had as much of a use case for it as taking something like even taking a 3D print or just a piece of wood and then adding, say, like a laser cut acrylic on top as an extra layer. That typically would be easier, more efficient process when it comes to that.
So what else do you use your 3D printer for besides the like house models? And because you have several. And then my other question is each one the same, or does one like do more than the other? Or
so of the 4 that I have, they're all of the same type of printing technology called FDM, fused deposition modeling. When people talk about 3D printing in the industry, that is the typical what consumers and prosumers use. So in that sense, they all do the same thing. They can all use the same types of plastic within them, and they have a range of certain plastics they can use. For mine, 3 of them are similar in the sense they're basically square build plates, and so if you picture the volume you can print is basically a cube. One does like 8 by 8 by 8 inches. One does about 9 by 9 by 9. And then I do have one that's like 12 inches.
So kind of like with lasers, the bed size is what's different.
Correct. Exactly. And then my other one is what they call a Delta printer. It's actually very tall. It prints it has a circular bed instead of a square. So it's like a 14-inch circle, like 17 inches tall. Wow. So it's a big one. It stands up like this high whenever it can do larger scale things at one time. Because similar to your laser and your build size, somebody with a Glowforge is going to have a harder time doing large scale stuff without having to piece it together, or they have a pass through, they can use it. Whereas like my Tech, who now has a 20 by 28, I can do bigger stuff. Your Mirror 9 has even bigger, so you can do bigger things. Yeah. Same idea. Just machines that can allow you to do more at one time.
And then do they only because I've seen the ones, they're different ones if they do like several colors. So usually it's just like single color at a time, right?
Correct. Like you just go buy a 3D printer. Generally speaking, it's going to be a single color. And then they have modifications you can buy to add on multiple. And the idea is that you tell the software the model that you're using has multiple parts that you identify the colors you want to use. And then the software says, okay, this part when I print it's going to be red, this part's going to be blue, and then it facilitates what color is being fed into the machine as you're going. So thankfully the software is pretty sophisticated in that sense. You just say, hey, I want this part to be one color and this part to be another, and it kind of does the rest.
Thankfully. I have, especially with your big machine, I have an order to put in for your 3D printer, and it's not a penis. For anybody who's listening.
No, but it's your sign.
No,
she wants you to make.
Listen, he did offer to make his own sign, and I told him absolutely not.
And now he kind of wishes he did.
But but don't send it to me because I'm very particular about how I want it.
So the material, the plastics, for that is it like so kind of like how Glowforge has their own material, like their own wood and stuff like that. Are you subject to the maker because of just like how the plastic is made? Because no two plastics are alike, I would assume, or is it like
there's types? I think
you can
right?
get.
So thankfully, most 3D printers that somebody like me would buy, company based, can use multitude of different brands of the same, as long as you get the types correct. So the most typical type of 3D printing plastic, there's PETG, which is basically the same thing plastic water bottles made out of, and there's PLA. So those two are basically the ones that are used most. And I can go buy it from company A or company B or C. And yes, they may work a little different. Like you said, the plastic's going to be a little different, but it's going to be close. Might require a little tweaking on the front end just to make sure like one may print at a slightly higher temperature than the other, but they're going to come out very similar once you get that down. Very few machines nowadays, because of just the way the 3D printing industry has developed, are what we'd call proprietary or closed source, where you have to use their filament. Again, once you get into like the big, you might see ones like companies, aerospace or NASA, those guys are using, where the machine is as big as this room. Those guys are using proprietary stuff. But the stuff we use, now I could go buy, Amazon has their own version. Micro Center has their own version.
Speaking
I can just go buy it off the
3D
shelf.
printers, remember that reel that I showed you the other day of the 3D printed house?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like cement or something. I forget what it was. Yeah.
Yep. Concrete.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's a couple of companies, one out of Austin that's here in Texas that's actually done quite a few. And it's a very similar process. Instead of plastic, it's using concrete. And it traces the outline. And they have it's pretty cool. If they can get to a good cost model for it, it'll make the housing market kind of switch a little bit, because you can do affordable housing very quickly, or you can do super custom housing, like even different, like the high end stuff, because you can basically do whatever shape at that point you want.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and listen, that could be a really good like reel or YouTube wormhole that I could go down, like watching like a huge house be like 3D printed with concrete. That has to look cool in a time lapse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen where it's not even the full, but it's just like, a few passes around and you start seeing the walls go up.
Yeah.
And even that's enough to be like, man, I wonder what that's going to look like.
So 3D printing, I swear I'm not like, I have so many questions. So like,
she's shopping.
I'm not,
she's
but
shopping.
I am, but I'm not.
Shopping.
So I know with the few friends that I know that have them, and the few videos I've seen, there's like, I forget what the pieces, the brace pieces. So like where it holds it up.
Right.
When, until it's done.
Where it'd be like negative space, but you don't want it to fall over.
Support.
So how would you do that on a house with like a window and concrete? Same way?
Wow.
So on those, they actually have added supports. So when I'm dealing with something, say it's got an overhang or it's a door or something like that I want it to be open when it's done, it will print plastic that's not quite as strong, enough to hold it up until you're done, and you pull it out. It's called support material.
Okay.
On 3D printed concrete houses, they will use a little more rigid material, like as they're going up, once they get to a certain level of a window or a door, they will put a piece of wood across it. And then it'll actually put concrete on top of that wood as it goes around. So that wood is now holding
So almost
the
same thing as masonry, just with a 3D printer instead of actually laying the bricks.
Exactly.
Right.
They'll like go up there, stop, and keep going. And then,
exactly.
Cool.
Correct.
Now I want to go.
So just for a timestamp, it's July 11th, and we'll get back to you when we get our 3D printer on July 20th.
It's hey, I've been thinking about it for a while. Jamie got one, and I almost bought. It was real close. It was in my Amazon cart for a long time, and then thankfully for both of us, she was having like some trouble with it, and I'm like, I don't have time for that. Right. So I don't have time for the things I have.
And you talked about getting a fiber today.
Okay, so see what happened was...
How many machines?
All the machines.
No, that's fine if we had the space for all the machines.
We can make space.
Our backyard is going to be full. So you know how people like hoard things inside their house? I have a feeling that we're going to begin to hoard sheds out back.
We got to find out what the limit is.
See, she wants to find out what the limit of how many sheds you can have on your property is already.
Just curious.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not going to go into... I'm not going to walk all the way to another shed, though, so... It would have to be something in the house. Would have to go out there.
So which would mean the next shed will have the studio and me.
Maybe.
To make room for...
Kick you on out.
For a 3D printer
you're
or
taking up my
CNC.
space.
Yeah, I'm taking up space. And the podcast is taking up space.
So
it's interesting because like you think about when you think about the new tools, and same thing for fiber lasers for sublimation. You have to think like you have the machine itself. You have to think about the peripherals, like what else is involved in it.
When I got the Glowforge, I highly underestimated all of the things that I needed to go with it, because like every new project, I'm like, fuck, this is like. If I'm going to do something new or a new type of sign or a new type of material or whatever, I had to buy like new glues to test out. I had to buy, the new acrylic, the new wood, the new thicknesses. Right. Like you don't realize like.
It's almost like trying a new recipe. Yeah. And realize, I don't have Targon.
Exactly.
Now I gotta go to the store.
Exactly, because sure, the fiber laser. I mean, the fiber laser. I'm not sure how much extra it needs besides like the additional venting.
We'll find out.
And the blanks, I would just need to fit within like my blanks where they're at now. And typically on a fiber laser, your blanks are smaller because it's smaller. So you engrave on much smaller items. But like with a 3D printer, I'm sure there's, you have to have the filament, and the filament being separate colors. Well, now you have to have space to store each of those filament. Stop looking at my storage. There's plenty of room on those newly organized shelves.
And that's the thing is, the printer itself, like to be honest, some of my small printers, they take up, it's this big overall. So the size of the machine's not much. But like you said, depending on what type of filaments and stuff you want, this is the, that's the size of a roll, typical
not
roll.
Too bad, but that adds up.
Black.
Not too bad when it's one or two.
Right.
When she needs every color of the rainbow.
But if you want it.
I mean, and then there's like fancy ones that like color change and
patterns.
Exactly.
It's going to be a whole other.
So yes, that can get a little excessive.
We might not even
think, like,
have
CNC.
We might not even have decor on that shelving. That's just going to be storage for all the. Yeah.
I mean,
blanks,
it would be a perfect backdrop to a laser podcast.
See, here we go. But it's not a laser; it's a 3D printer.
Yeah, but if I use them together for one project, then it applies. I'm not going to anytime
that cup
soon,
that was pouring out because it's being replaced with a 3D printer. Oh, that was 3D printer, was it?
That was 3D printed, and it's
Yeah.
I really like that thing.
No, they're cool. They're really cool.
I mean, so what got the fiber? We've wanted a fiber for a year or two now. We like looked into it before. We really wanted it, but then we were kind of like, we need to wait. Mm-hmm. And then Heather is considering selling the one that she has, and so then it got me thinking on it again. But I'm not going to go out and buy our own. But if Heather sells hers or Lisa sells hers, I might consider it.
And if you have a fiber laser that you're considering to sell, do not reach out to us, please.
If it's discounted, please do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, unfortunately, I have looked into them as well. The viewers, not Gotcha.
Do you want one? I mean, I'm sure you do.
No,
yes,
I do. Of course. I mean, we've talked about how many tools I have. I love all the tools. Again, it's for me, it's the thrill of finding how I can use whatever that tool is made for in conjunction with the others. So fibers is specifically, made for metals and things like that. It's like, which I don't do a lot of right now. Cool. How could I, maybe my awards now have metal inlays. Sweet.
See, this
things like that.
So get me to do things.
Is it working?
Huh?
We've thought about it. Yeah. We even looked into the license and everything.
Right. Yeah.
Just saying.
It's a whole headache.
So it's not that bad. So here's a question. Have you used all three of them together on a project? And if so, what was the project?
I haven't actually.
You have a year.
Challenge.
I was going to give you like 2 weeks, but I can't do that to you when I haven't made your slide.
It's interesting because, again, there's very similarities to each one of them, and then there's differences amongst them. So again, the CNC, my CNC is large. It can do up to 31 inches square worth of material at one time, 2 inches deep, worth of carving if I needed to. the laser's 20 by 28, so that
Right.
there's limitations there. And then, of course, the 3D printers are considerably smaller. So, I'd have to come up with.
Like there's something.
It's interesting. I've done some of the stuff I've done with the CNC besides some awards and things like that for work, custom topographies and stuff like, hey, here's where a building site's going to be, and actually carve it out, things like that. So I could see potentially something of that nature.
I mean, maybe an award too, because the CNC would be the base, and then the acrylic or something, for any of the like engravings or whatever. And then if it's like a basketball tournament, or you know what I mean, then you could do like a basketball out of the
print a basketball.
Yeah,
that would be that'd be pretty cool. I just need to go get more awards contracts, so I can make more stuff.
So do you have?
I do have a golf one coming up, so might have to try. I might try out golf.
I think this is the perfect opportunity to do some homework that it does not ever do, and it's not important.
If it is, I got a year, so we're
plenty of time. So.
I've got until you do the sign. So
that's good. That's good. There you go. That's smart.
Yeah, and back time because it's already been about a year, and then however long it takes.
No, that's not how I heard it.
What? Until you make the sign?
That's not how I heard it. No, he said until I make the sign.
I don't know, John.
But then.
I'm not sure I need the back time.
He's not like
considering.
Me.
That's a burn.
It's a burn, but listen, I've come to terms with who I am. This is me, okay?
Yeah.
I also like, oh God, I'm such a mess. The other day I designed a new like milestone set, and I need to make that. It's not an order. It's not for any reason.
Right.
But like it was in my head and I had to get it out. And then I got it out, and I got some new acrylic.
Oh, that's what's leaning over by the door?
It was so heavy.
Good. I'm glad you're bringing that in. I'm not touching that.
I tried to pick. Jackson was, I think, when was that? I had him, because he had just woke up from his terrible nap today on top of me. And I heard there's a doorbell, and I was like, great, who's that? And I was hoping it was a package and not like somebody that we forgot that was coming by. And I went to go get it, and I saw what it was, and I was like, shit. And I was like, let me grab it. My hands. And so my strong hands? My strong hands are terrible. Don't have a lot of power. And I was like, oh, and I had to like drop it every couple inches and got it into the house. And then I tried to close the door and I couldn't close it.
Jackson?
While holding Jackson.
I'll give you a pass for that one.
Yeah, and Jackson's like...
Yeah, and he's heavy himself.
Yes.
You're holding him like a football over here.
People laugh at me all the time, but that's literally the easiest way for me to hold him and not kill and hurt my back.
It's the only way he wants to be held.
It's probably my fault.
He likes to like throw himself back and everything. So
I legit put him like this, and he's like torpedo. Yeah. And it's the easiest way for me to hold him sometimes, if he doesn't want to be held, man,
he flops hard.
He's professional flopper. He needs to be in basketball
or soccer.
Oh yeah, they do good flopping.
Yeah, they flop in soccer.
He did a pretty good kick today.
Yeah.
He's got some. We got to hone in on that talent. Get us a professional athlete, right? and then I can buy all the tools.
I knew she was gonna say that.
You're
welcome.
The idea. I'm gonna take the house down and then build one big garage.
Okay, that works. Then we'll buy a new house next door.
And then we'll buy a tiny house to live in.
No,
that's all the room we're gonna have.
Okay, that's true. So do you have any other machines? So how's your space and your garage and your...
Oh, it's ridiculous. And that's the interesting we were talking about, the kind of peripherals. You talk about, laser peripherals. Once you get a bigger laser, besides the fact it's bigger, you've got a chiller and exhaust, things like that. And then 3D printers, thankfully, are very small in footprint, but you have some filament depending on how much you get. CNC is nuts because if you want to do it right, You got to have, suction
Dust
for,
collection,
dust collection. So you're not just throwing it all over the place. And the crazy thing is you really need to have the other woodworking tools just to get, because unlike lasers, there are places you can go buy wood that is certain sizes. Generally speaking, for that type, it's going to be more expensive than if you bought a bigger sheet or a bigger block and cut it yourself.
Then you have to cut it yourself.
Of course, that means I needed a miter saw. Miter saw, bandsaw. I have like 3 or 4 palm routers. Basically a woodworking shop grew out of having a CNC machine. So
the gateway drug.
The one reason I really haven't picked up welding, like I've thought about picking up welding. I've done a little bit up in the past. I can get a decent, or maybe even like a plasma cutter. Like again, cool. The plasma cutter, that's about the same size as the CNC. But then I need something to cut metal. Then I need something to put metal together. And it's just like grinders, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't have enough room for that. So, so yes, I do have to limit. I have thought of a fiber laser, again, because it's not as much of a, tax on the amount of space we have, or potentially like a sublimation printer where I could do some acrylics or woods and then laser cut them, things like that. So something smaller would be the next on the list.
What I mean with the CNC, you said you're cutting, material. You can cut up to like 31 inches or something, but that also means you have to have a piece of wood that's 31 inches and needs to be like stored flat and like, or I mean, maybe with that big of a sheet, you don't have to store it flat as much or like the whole time, but still. Yeah, it's one of the struggles I have with my Mira. Like, it's great to have the bigger laser and to be able to do that, but all of my storage is set up for the Glowforge size sheets, which is great because I do mostly smaller items. But I'd love to get bigger sheets, but I don't have anywhere to store these bigger sheets, and acrylic is heavy and sharp. So, we were going to make something acrylic for the podcast background, and I was going to just custom order that sheet. But then there's the stress of custom ordering that sheet, that size, and if it doesn't happen on the first try, which with my luck it won't, and so then I have to have 2 of them. Now I have to store those,
and it's easier to purchase Glowforge size, right?
Totally.
Then because you just said you have to.
It's more readily available, and again, I feel like a lot of people who work with acrylic can usually work with 12 by 9 or 12 by 19 or whatever Glowforge size for most of their projects. Now, if you're doing like a lot of acrylic signs, then like larger acrylic signs with an actual acrylic backer as well, that's where it would be better, to have like more space for that, or a local plastics place where you can be like, I need, this size and, a square, and that you can order it from them or whatever. Cause I feel like that would be.
Yeah. I got a little lucky in that I have Houston acrylics on the way to work.
Dangerous.
So.
That is dangerous.
Oh, I know. I've picked up many orders on the way back from work. It's like, I got to leave early. I got to pick up something before they close. It's 2:00. Doesn't matter. Gotta leave. So
gotta go.
Now it would be dangerous as he was when he was talking about the CNC and the woodworking and the welder and the plasma cutter. And I was sitting here like, ooh.
It happens really easily.
Because those I can go through reels and like I'll go through a wormhole of just like welding. And
welding is so cool to me. If it wasn't with fire, because I don't do well with like heat, I would totally I've considered do I want to be a welder?
I would love to see you with the apron, the gloves, and
I can't.
The thing and just
the thing on my face,
and just do a small line, like 4 inches.
Couldn't.
And then just to watch you die. Yeah.
Literally, I would be do they have like built-in fans in any of these things?
I don't think so.
New business idea for people like me who don't want to.
I think if you're a welder, you're a certain type of person.
Yeah, like Bud.
Yeah.
Heather's Bud.
Yeah.
He's a welder.
But I know it's interesting. I mentioned earlier, my Etsy shop does a lot of rounds. They're all out of 1/2-inch plywood. So I buy just sheets of 1/2-inch plywood like crazy for those. And it got to the point where, again, the CNC will only take a certain size. So I have to cut those 4x8s down. And trying to find somebody at Lowe's or Home Depot to cut anything is just, exactly. I have better luck trying to find the Lost Ark, than finding one of those guys. So I ended up buying it's a what they call a job site version of a panel saw, the same saw that they have at Home Depot. I bought one of those and it sits in my garage, and I can now it paid for itself in like 3 orders just in the time savings.
Well, yeah, because like it's not even that it's expensive at those places. It's that one, it either isn't an option because it's down, or they don't have someone who's trained to work on it,
or enough staff,
or someone who's there. Like, how many times have we gone?
Yeah, you just sit there and wait.
They're like, oh, only Ryan can. And it's like, well, where's Ryan? I use a bad
truck
name choice, but like Fred, where's Fred? Oh, Fred's unloading the truck, and it's like, okay, cool. Like it's a time waste, and we all know that time is money. Like that's why I hated in the beginning, like. One, going there, choosing a 4x8 sheet of 1/4-inch plywood, and then you would have to like help like pull it down. We'd do all this work to pull one down, and we'd see it's moldy or warped or just a bad sheet, and it's like, and it's up here, so it's not like it's easy for you to keep like pulling it out. You're pulling it out from up here. There's no one to help you either, because again, that's problem number one. And then you wheel it over, and then you wait another hour for someone to cut it for you, and hope that they don't get mad at you because you want to cut it.
And that's also sometimes you would get them just to cut it once, so we could fit it in the car, or the truck, and then cut it home yourself, because it's just easier than just have to wait and then get the. So you want to how long? Okay, well this is
yeah.
Same. I mean, that's what I was doing, was like, all right, if I can find somebody, cut it in half just so I can get in the truck easier. But it just got to the point even doing that was a pain. And of course, by the time I got it back, I still had to cut it down even further for what I was doing. And trying to cut it when it's laying, face down with the circular saw is not the easiest. It can be done. So I now have my own. I can just rip through them like crazy, and I can rip down a 4x8 sheet in like 2 minutes.
We even bought a
so
I think it's like it's a ripping tool that gauges how thick it is. How thick it has guiders for the circular saw. Remember the blue thing? And then I was looking that you could put the sheet on top of foam board,
piece of foam.
Yep.
Foam insulation.
You cut. You make sure that your depth isn't. You're not cutting through both, but just like half of the foam board and the material. And that way you can just rip through it on the floor and not have to worry about like cutting the floor and stuff. But never ended up doing that. Never ended up doing that.
Well, and I can't use a power tool on the ground. Are you kidding me?
And it sounded like a great idea for me. I was like, oh, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, then I'm going to need a table because I don't want to be like on the floor.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I can just put it on sawhorses.
Right.
Like, that's good. Then we'll just put it back and forth, and it never happened.
No. You did it like once or twice.
And even then, it was on the sawhorse without the foam board, because we never bought the foam, because you'd have to keep the entire foam board and then bring it out. And then if it's like half of it, you're like, well, why did I bring this whole piece of foam board out just to cut this little?
The struggle is real.
Right. Yeah.
And part of that struggle was the space, because we just had the garage then. And you'd have to take it. You were taking all of that outside.
And even then, it wasn't. But it wasn't like we had the garage like we have it here.
No.
Here, the garage is dedicated for our workshop.
No, it was dedicated
over there. It was our
junk.
Garage.
Yeah.
So I had to pull out the sawhorses, and then cut it like in the driveway, because we couldn't do it in the garage because the garage wasn't set up for that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I could definitely go down, that road of like, getting into welding, and then from there CNC, and
yeah, too many interests. Staying focused.
That speaks more to me a little more than like the acrylic signs and stuff.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's the cool part though, is like what Crystal knows with how it pertains to laser. At least will get you started with those. Again, my CNC uses SVG files, so whenever I want to create something that's not, carved, if I'm doing just a round or a shape, it's the same process it is for the laser. I go on Illustrator, I create the shape, I export as an SVG, take it to the machine and cut it. So that's the beauty, is that nowadays these machines are all overlapping in some form or fashion.
Well, and I mean,
I don't have
one big overlap for me that even made me consider buying a laser was the overlap with vinyl cutters, because I could create my own files for the t-shirts and stuff. And then I was like, wait, I can use the same software and actually create files for my laser. And I was like, mind blown. And that's why I even considered it, because learning software sucks. So, you know, and I just had to learn how to, again, make it, you know, 3D or layered, and the engraving part and that kind of stuff. But there's obviously, you know, some learning curve, but I didn't have to start at 0. So, you know, that's what's huge too. It's like the gateway drug.
Agreed.
It's all you start with one and you can easily fall off and just get them all. But try not to. We gotta I'm trying.
Yeah, okay? I know. So what is like what's like the coolest thing that you have made or you're thinking of making with a 3D printer that's non like architect, like work related?
I actually I 3D printed some awards one time for, it was a friend of mine had a group. They were doing a video award, so they had people submit videos. So I 3D printed a custom look like the Grammys, but it was like had their logo. It had their logo embedded or something that, you know, I don't remember what that pertained to them in that, and I 3D printed it. So it was like cool. It was I painted them and they handed them out and they looked professional, you know. And so that was pretty interesting. You know, Crystal, you asked me earlier, like, what do I do with my printers mostly? I've made things from prototypes for things like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What would it look like? I've done toys for my kids. You know, I've done parts and pieces for around the house.
That's another thing.
Those curtains right there are actually held up with the brackets that hold the rod
so
or 3D printed.
When you and I are running around looking for something that's a 1/4 inch thick, or we lost a washer, or, you know, like those kind of things, that's totally, which some of that we can do on the laser, and we have done on the laser. Oh, we don't have this, let me go cut something similar that'll work, you know, and rig it for the laser. Like one prime example was what is his name? Tony came by to, you know, have me cut something for his boss, because he was customizing his panel in his boat. And it was super expensive for the people to come out and like measure it and do it custom and all that. And he's like, there's got to be templates somewhere. Found templates, you know, did that. So that's one perfect example. But while he was there, so he moved into a new community, and they have the gates, right? Well, the gates are held up with like these super cheap ass like plastic washers that so the gate is made that when you hit it, it basically will kind of break, because you know, like, you don't want to whatever. So anyway, he hit it one day, I think with like his golf cart or his car, I don't know what, and broke it. Well, when you do that, it's like a $200 fee plus I think it was a weekend, so it was going to be some extra. So it's like all this money. Well, because it's happened so often, he was able to find like pieces on the ground, most of the pieces of what he needed that like were other ones that were intact, because he didn't break that one. But what he was missing was a washer. And so he was like, oh, I know where those are. I'll go grab them from Home Depot. I'll be right back, so that he could save himself the $200, $300 fee. He went home to his Glowforge, cut it on his Glowforge, made several, brought them back, gave him like some extra ones. Like, here you go. And like fixed the, you know, fixed the arm, because it was just a simple, you know, circle, like plastic acrylic, you know, washer, but just, you know, things like that.
So I printed those. So those are hold down pins for my laser.
Yep, so I have some 3D printed ones
and then
too.
if they break, I just print some more. You know, that's the cool part, is if it breaks, I can just go print another one.
And isn't the cap on the laser? Isn't that cap also 3D printed?
The one that I'm
shorter?
not supposed to use.
Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's not on the lasers.
I mean,
it's the cap
it's not
for the
on
printer.
The laser.
It's the cap for the printer.
Yeah, sure. Good way to play that off. No, but what else was 3? Oh, so the JDS, the bigger water bottles, because of the smaller like end part of the water bottle with a rotary, like that will throw it off. You either have to like flip it and do it backwards or have an adapter.
Okay.
The adapter I have is 3D printed. And so it makes it so that I don't have to flip it backwards or do any kind of like funny business with it. I literally put the adapter on, clamp it on like normal, and it works. Yeah, because it keeps it so that it's the same
size. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to do it. Some people use like 3D risers, so kind of like the hold down pins. They do risers to lift their material up off the bed. I feel like there's a couple more.
Yeah, my rotary I got from OhmTech didn't come with the interior kind of hold down if you're doing like a mug or something that has a handle. I bought one on Etsy just because they had it already. I bought one on Etsy that was 3D printed, and it was just a couple different parts and a spring that I can put a mug on there and it holds itself, keeps it from wanting to just turn over on itself. So the thing is, like, the cool part is you can create whatever you want, but there's also a lot, like the way the 3D printing community is, there's numerous repositories of people just making stuff. Like these hold down pins, I just went on Thingiverse, which is one of the main ones, and said, laser hold down pins, and like 15 different versions came up, So you can grab, you don't even have to know how to model. You can just go grab stuff from the internet, throw it on your machine, and you're done. So
totally. Well, and a lot of them they give away like for free. I feel like there's a lot more. The files aren't nearly as expensive with 3D printers for some reason, I've noticed. I don't know. They share them a lot more.
It's because 3D printing has grown as an open source community. Basically the original idea of a printer printing a printer. So the idea is people took it, started figuring out how to make it better, turn that over to everybody for free. It just kind of developed that way. So the point is, all the files just got to a point where they're like, well, we're just going to give most of it away for free. Not to say that everybody does. You can buy certain 3D files, but there are countless that are free. So.
Well, and then the good thing is, like, if you're like us who are limited on space, I have you who has several 3D printers. So depending on what I need, if I really, and same thing, like I have friends who have sublimation, I have friends who have fibers, like there's other ways, I mean, the CNC, I outsource the peen boards and stuff like that. But like, it makes it like I get to give them business, and then they help my business as well. So like and then if you eventually realize like, okay, I really like this, or I need it more often, or I'm selling more, then it makes sense for me to keep outsourcing it from a friend or something. Then but then it's also a good way to test it out. Like you test the market. If you're getting tons of orders, okay, then I actually do need to buy one, or Yeah.
Right.
So I'll have to try that first. No promises, but
hit me
I
up.
will.
I'm good.
And then it's Prime Day, and I bought 2 vacuums today. So
you bought 2 vacuums?
Yes.
You bought the robotic one, and then the one.
Worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be worse. It could be worse, John. It could have been a
be
fiber laser. It could have been a fiber laser.
Much more.
I don't know
and they
that she
were both
didn't.
on sale.
I don't know that she didn't promise Heather that she'd buy hers.
I mean, I
So
told
she
her
could've
I
pre-ordered
would
one.
if she actually sells it, but
See?
Heather is unsure.
So if she's sure, then we just bought a fiber laser.
That's Heather.
Potentially.
See? So she bought 2 vacuums and pre-ordered a fiber laser.
I like that.
Meanwhile,
on
I got some.
Prime Day.
It's on Prime Day. Oh,
We needed a vacuum.
a vacuum.
I knew you were
She
gonna
bought
say-
2.
They serve different purposes, kind of like his 3D printers.
All right. When I buy my next gun, I don't want to hear anything. It serves a different purpose.
It's fair.
Okay.
But for the price of the 2 vacuums.
Yeah. No, I know your vacuum taste. Yes, I'm pretty sure I could buy a new
How
one.
much do you think I spent on the vacuums?
Even with Prime Day?
Yes.
$300.
Total or each?
Huh? See? I was going with total.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. See?
That's actually like, it's probably almost exactly that.
Yeah, and that's only because it was Prime Day.
There were vacuums that were that much for one.
Oh, I'm sure. I know.
See, and I got 2 for 1.
The excitement in her face when she says it.
I'm pretty excited about these vacuums. That's when you know you're old.
Guess who's going to be vacuuming?
Hey, who's been vacuuming since we moved here? Who's done most of the vacuuming? Thank you very much.
We'll see.
Don't worry, I'll wait. Yeah, well then I'll have the robot to do it for me.
I'll stay out of that one. I can just see my wife coming in and smacking me on the back of the head for saying anything.
Meanwhile,
Nope.
I was like, I think I'm going to buy a radio for my car.
Yeah.
And she's like, I could co-sign that. Yeah, because she spent $300 on vacuums.
On vacuums for the house. The radio doesn't do anything for me.
Yes, it does when you're in the car.
No, you do with your own radio. I don't touch that. And you bought that from your birthday money, not from the actual. I didn't say you had to.
See.
We should probably let Ryan go so that we can have our marital discussion afterwards.
All right.
Man.
All right. Well, Ryan, thank you for being on.
Thank you as always
it's always
for
fun.
being a valued patron.
Yes, an OG.
Yes, and always hopping in when we need you, when we want you, whatever. That sounds interesting. All right.
No, yeah. Thanks for being awesome and for coming on.
Yeah. Are you coming to Florida anytime soon?
No worries. It's always. Not well. Let's see. I have a trip in October actually, so I don't know where I'm gonna be.
See,
though.
and it's hard. Florida's worse than Colorado.
Yes.
Like you could go.
I was gonna say it's like Texas. Like depending on where you are, it's like, oh, I'm in Florida. Yeah, that's like
so
10 hours away.
That actually happened the other day with Lauren. She has like 2 with Barley and Oak.
Mm-hmm.
She has 2 Florida vacations, like almost back to back. There's literally only like 2 or 3 days in between.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, do I go home for those 2 or 3 days or do I just stay in Florida? And I was like, and she's like, and visit some of my Florida friends. I was like, totally stay and come visit me. And then I looked it up. She's like 8.5 hours away. And I was like, cool. That's
West
not
Coast?
going to happen. I'm not sure. Probably
Or
Destin,
Panhandle?
I think. Is it Destin?
Destin?
I think it was Destin. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is like Panhandle, I think. Yeah. So it was like, okay, never mind. You're not any closer. You're actually closer in Kansas City with a flight.
Yeah. When I moved to Colorado.
Yeah.
I drove for a day and I started in Miami and I ended in Pensacola.
To me. Yeah. He's like he's driving for 3 days.
Yeah.
The first day
was just to get out.
Was
to get to wasn't even to get out of Florida.
Just Florida.
It's just to get to the close.
Just to get to the tip.
Close. Took a day to get to the tip. Yeah. But I was going north and west, so it's kind of like Yeah. But yeah.
You're curving around.
It curves a little.
Hey, you're preaching Texas. I mean, I'm in Houston, so we're southeast. Like, it's like some ungodly 13 hours or something to El Paso. And you're not even out of the state. So
yeah, no. Well, the next time you're in Florida, we'll see if it's worth making the trip to
see how close.
To meet somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Awesome,
Thanks for hanging out with us, Ryan, and for the rest of you guys, stick around for the life update. And we're back. That was fun.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, I wonder how many machines now we're gonna get, but it is what it is.
2 more vacuums at least.
What? 2 more vacuums at
when
least?
they come.
Yeah. It's Prime Day.
Yeah.
Money doesn't count.
It does, but it's maybe less, because the controversy is that like a lot of them they raise the prices
like Black Friday.
Yeah.
Or they give you like a lesser model and drop down like TV for $200, a 75-inch TV for $200, but it only has one HDMI out.
Right.
It's like, well,
is that my hair? What is that?
Yeah, that's your hair.
Nice. It's like, what is this? All right, I'm not homeless or anything.
It's been there for an hour.
Nice. Just saw it. Thankfully, it blends in with
with
our
the bed. That's probably why you haven't seen it.
Yeah. What is that? And I was looking at Ryan, not us.
Yes. So to add more, I mean, we're in our space.
Yes.
This is our
we
space.
Talked about it a little bit.
We got our table back.
Yes. I missed it.
Yeah, it's been yeah.
And we might shift back a little bit more this way, and then we might have to do something with the cinder block wall. We'll figure all that out later.
We have plans.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're set up mostly. Really the background is all we have to kind of just get going.
Get rid of that cabinetry, whatever, so we can push
from
back.
The bathroom. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get rid, sell that, and then we could push this back and then put a wall treatment, and we're back in business.
Yeah,
I'm
excited.
We're already back. Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and it's coming together well, and like the systems like that we had in our head seem to actually be working as long as there's not something else in the way. That's when it's like, all of a sudden this new box that wasn't there yesterday, it completely disrupts the whole system, because now I can't move this shelf, which means I can't get to this thing.
Yeah. And our solution has been wheels.
Yeah. And it really it's worked great though. I did hear that a little bit when I was getting suggestions on shed, garage, whatever, and I did hear a lot of people say, especially the garage, like put everything you can on wheels, because then you can shift everything as much as you need to. Throw this over there so that I can do this, throw it back over there.
I think everything but this desk,
the table,
the table, sorry, because I was looking at your desk, everything but this table, that's not, I mean, I guess it is part of the perimeter because it's like up against the wall, but nothing really protrudes this far out and isn't on wheels.
Right.
Because all the racks and stuff that are against the wall, they're against the wall. So they're not, but all the other few racks that we have next to those are on wheels, so they can be moved around and everything.
Yep.
And the shipping station with that one rack that wheels out, that's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those tables. Those tables are...
I love those,
those tables are great.
Yeah, definitely.
For like anything, really. On that. For anything.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just going to be... I feel like those tables are going to be used for, like, everything.
Yeah.
You just fold it out, and then you have a clean work area. Because
and it's, like, high, which is great for my back.
Right.
Like, it took a while for my back to start, like...
Yeah, you definitely can't sit and do anything.
Not very well.
Last time I tried, I mocked it up to do the podcast, and we're like up to here.
It was ridiculous.
So it wasn't gonna work. But standing up and doing something, those are gonna be. I feel like for like anything that you have, like if you have a mask or something, instead of trying to find something on your desk, you just unfold that table, and it's easy. It's easy to unfold and fold back up. It's great.
Well, and I used it for. Excuse me. I used it for content creation the other day of just a really quick reel. I did a reel of all of the items I put in the Christmas and July sale, which check out the Christmas and July sale. It's a lot of the like Christmas stuff, or like the red and green colors of keychain thingies and stuff. But anyway, I needed like a clear space, and even though everything's pretty organized, my desk is not clear at all.
Right.
And so I used that fancy workbench, and it came in clutch. Like even if I wasn't trying to do it in a rush because we had to go somewhere, I would have put my replica services background on top of it because it has the like wood background, which isn't really like part of like my brand aesthetic, but I was like, man, I don't want to go through taking all that out right now. I just want to make a quick. It still took me probably a couple hours in total, but whatever.
I'm not gonna lie, I was so sick of that song.
Although it was a pretty good song.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't really get to hear. Like, I wasn't close enough to hear them.
You just heard it, like, just repetitive.
Yes, I just heard it going over, and I'm like, oh, this damn song.
I know. That's the worst part about, like, content and editing and stuff.
You were doing it while we were like driving and stuff like that. And I heard like I was vaguely hearing it, so I heard like the melody over and over. I'm like, oh my god, is he finished with that reel already?
Well, because it was 14 items in the sale, so it was like 14 little snippets that I needed to like figure out find the start and the end. So as you know, with editing,
every time. No, I mute the track. When I'm editing, I mute the track.
I needed to hear the track in order to know where to stop it. So I tried to turn it down. But, so just honestly now the hard part is managing kids and
time. And I feel like that's going to be the hardest part is managing time because we're not on like a rigid like schedule and there's no excuse.
Right.
It's like, oh, I couldn't get that today because I had to go to work.
Right.
Or, oh, I couldn't get to that because now it's like, well, this is what you do.
Yeah. As soon as, there's less excuses now. Like there's still ways that we can make it work. Like working now,
right.
when they're sleeping, as long as Jackson cooperates and sleeps.
Yeah.
But then the struggle is too because he didn't nap and he didn't sleep very late. I'm tired.
I'm well rested. I took a nap.
Yeah, I know.
I took a birthday nap.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I tried. I wanted to, but I couldn't. And then as soon as I started to like get tired, that's when he was starting to wake up. So I was like, oh, fabulous. Of course. There's less excuses now, but there definitely are excuses. But as of like August 14th, when they're both
there should be no excuses.
There should not
probably will be.
There probably will be because I can find them in anything.
Anywhere. Yeah.
But there will definitely be less. I'm looking forward to that because I want to get back to some kind of normalcy because we haven't been there since we left.
I can't wait to get all these boxes out of the house.
Yes.
Thank God bulk trash is Thursday.
Yes.
And we're getting
which means we also need to we need to do some work tomorrow too to add as much as we can into that bulk trash pickup on Thursday.
And I can't wait to get our closet like it looks pimp.
All of it.
And I can't wait to like get it to like functioning.
Right.
So we can go
in there. Well, the good thing is that how we work is we schedule a party. Yeah. And we usually get it together. Yeah. Well, we scheduled the party.
Yeah. 22nd.
Not for that reason, but we have a party coming up. And so that'll be that push for us to get it as
out of the way,
close as we can to done before them to come. Because a lot of people are going to be seeing our house for the first time.
Almost all. Well, almost all of them, really.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be a couple people who've seen it before. But just getting settled is what's going on with us now. And how are you liking spending extra time with the boys?
Oh, it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's why we play the game.
Yeah, it's the reason we did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's why we did it, and and so far it's working great. I'm getting a little like antsy and
same.
a little like worried.
Yeah.
Kind of like, especially when you buy 2 vacuums on Prime Day. No, it's just a little like, nerve wracking because it's like I haven't gone to work.
Right.
It's like
so
right. I mean, we're covered.
Yes.
We're covered, which puts me at ease. And then every now and then we get a little more, and we've spent less than we thought we were going to spend when we were budgeting everything else. So
and we got like a $6,000 refund that we didn't even know.
We keep my last paycheck from work was a lot more than we thought.
Yeah.
So we keep getting these little things, and then we haven't, like, we broke down the numbers the other day, and we haven't really spent as much as we projected.
Right.
So that puts me at ease, but it's still like okay, well, we made the first payment. Okay, so where's the money come from? It's just it's hard to get out of that. I mean, I don't want to necessarily get out of that mindset,
I get
but it's hard to like just sit and like enjoy. There's a little bit of guilt in enjoying the time with them. It's like, okay, well, hopefully we can continue to join this time in this house because it's amazing.
Right. Yeah. Let's not lose the house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true though. I mean, it's well, and that's just kind of how we are too. It's like we're always, our mind is never stopping. Like you don't have as much anxiety as I do, but we do worry about that kind of stuff. Obviously, I mean, I think most adults worry about like.
You'd be surprised.
That's true.
You'd be surprised. There's some people out there that I'm like, man, I wish I lived like you.
Right. That didn't care, didn't worry about it.
At least on the outside, it seems like you don't.
Right.
Because the moves you're making and the way you're talking, it's like, man, I wish I lived like you.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, maybe it just means that we need to. Well, we were going to do those check-ins that we talked about. The weekly check-ins of just financial whatever.
Right.
And see where we're at, and then try and make some like smaller plans that we can maybe like piece out or. Nibble at like until we get to that August 14th or what are we going to do the second we get there or
I think it'll be like self-marketing meetings, like, okay, what are we going to put, we need to push something like like what can we do to like generate more so subscribe if you like the show.
Please support us.
This
is literally what we need
paying
is, our bills.
What we need is
going
to
be paying our bills.
Yeah, we need the watch hours.
So let's talk about that really quick before we go, and then we'll let them carry on with their life.
Yeah.
So YouTube recently, I don't know if you follow us on social media, you might have seen it. It depends on if the algorithm likes me or you. YouTube reduced their requirements for becoming monetized. So it used to be 1,000 subscribers were needed, and now that's been reduced down to 500, which makes me happy, but also kind of makes me sad because like we're almost there at 925.
Listen, we still need to get there
we do need to get to 1,000
to make the monies. We need to get way past there to get the monies.
Yeah. And then they reduced the watch hour.
They reduced the watch hours from 4,000 to 3,000.
Thank you for taking over. Yep. So we have exactly 1,200 watch hours. Right. I don't know how long that takes to update, but after I posted, we got 3 more hours. But several people told me that they were like, literally what I said, just press play, like leave it running while you're working, like mute us if you need to, but like just turn on the Riley Black Project playlist on YouTube and just have it running. And we'll see. I don't know how long it takes for those numbers to update. Maybe they'll update in a few days and we'll shoot up.
Also tell people about the podcast.
Yeah, but that's one of our next goals or one of our goals that we have to just get monetization. On YouTube.
On YouTube, and if you don't forget, we got Patreon where you can help. We can help. You subscribe to the Patreon.
Oh, sorry, go
$5.
Starts at $4.
$4.
Yeah, starts at $4. Not even now.
Yeah, not even. We're cheaper than a cup of coffee.
But back to the YouTube real quick. If any of you are considering getting a YouTube channel or thinking about YouTube monetization, the other thing you do need is you need I think at least 3 videos in the last 90 days. I don't think it's 30. I think it's 90 days. But you have to have like regular-ish videos. So there's another piece to it. So it's not just those 2. Right. And I mean, but we have that with the weekly podcast.
And I mean, if you're trying to start a YouTube channel, there's a bunch of videos out there that tell you, like the best ways to grow your audience and everything like that. Not unfortunately, but we stay. We're in the laser community. Like we're gonna keep the podcast because we can make it more generalized. And reach a broader audience and grow faster. But it's not why we started it.
Right.
We would love to get monetized.
Lasers,
and we want to get there.
And all the ish in between.
Right. We want to
talk about some lasers.
But I mean, we could always rebrand. Like if we really wanted to, we could rebrand. But it's not about making the money. It's about why we started it, and just so you don't feel like you're in a vacuum. There's other people. Yeah, that's the whole, like, that should really be like the tagline is that you're not in a vacuum. You're not by yourself.
You're not in a vacuum.
You could turn, She about 3 of them.
2.
No, 2. Sorry. I'm sure there's a 3rd one somewhere.
Yeah, in our closet.
Yeah. So, but that's the reason why we started and why it's also why it's kind of taking, it's not really taking that long because we've only done the video for a year.
Yeah.
So if our audio downloads would be able to translate over, we'd be monetized.
Yeah, we'd be good. We'd be golden.
But But yeah, no. So if you want to help out, just watch and subscribe. And if you want to help out monetizationally, or how do you say it? Monetarily?
Monetarily.
There it is.
I was like, that's not it.
I was like, that didn't sound right. But if you want to help us monetarily, there's always the Patreon.
Yeah.
Where you can subscribe and help us there.
Yeah. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
You don't look a day over 41.
That's because I am 41. I just turned 41.
I know.
I'm not even a day over yet. I just
Not yet. I don't think you look 41 though either. No. So, and we've been told that we don't by a few of our friends.
Tell us in the comments.
Don't tell me. I don't want to hear unless it's younger. Go ahead and tell me. Okay.
Fat is the fountain of youth. It
really is. It kind of. And then there's a limit, and I think I've found that limit.
You just die. You look younger, but you die early. And maybe that's why it seems like you die early, because you look younger.
No.
No? Okay. Well, anyway. Thanks for spending an hour with us, or an hour plus with us every week.
Yeah.
And it's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.